Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning. Nice to see everyone after what seemed like a very short summer break. This is kind of like our back-to-school Chamber Government Affairs Forum, so glad everyone could be here this morning. And it is a very special forum this morning with our featured guest today being the Mayor of the great city of Boston, Mayor Martin Walsh. I want to thank the Mayor for making the time to be with us this morning and for his continued support of Greater Boston's business community. Over his term as Mayor, he and his team have shown that they are committed to keeping an open line of communications with the Chamber and our members, as well as the whole business community, as we work together to keep Boston the best city to work, to grow a business, and to live. I want to acknowledge a few other people who have joined us today, starting with the Mayor's longtime partner, Laurie Higgins. Laurie, thank you for joining us this morning. And as a former Chief of Staff, I always like to keep the affinity going. So Dan Coe, Mayor Walsh's Chief of Staff. Dr. Tommy Chang, Superintendent of Schools. William Evans, our Police Commissioner. And I was very pleased to see our Fire Commissioner, Joe Finn, here today, as I think we're bordering on the room capacity limit for this ballroom. So, Commissioner, good to have you in the room as well. And also here today is City Council President Miceal Wu. Miceal, thank you for being here. And also for speaking as our keynote speaker at yesterday's City Awake, our Convention Delegates Conference kickoff. Great job yesterday, Miceal. City Councilor Michael Flaherty is here as well. A few representatives from the State House, Senator Joe Boncour, Representative Adrian Madero, and Representative Aaron Mikowitz is here. Former U.S. Senator Mo Cowan, Chancellor of UMass Boston Keith Motley, former Senator Jack Hart, and my good friend doing a great job running our airport in the Port of Boston, Tom Glenn of Massport. Welcome to you all. So, with the fall upon us, the Chamber's event schedule heats up, and we have some excellent programs lined up for the next few months. State Treasurer Deb Goldberg will be joining us. We'll have an interview with author and Pulitzer Prize winner John Meacham coming up, and Congressman Joe Kennedy is also on our schedule. So I hope you'll keep an eye out for those and take a look at the sheet on your tables for more information about those and other events sponsored by the Chamber. Before we begin, let me start this off by thanking our long-standing partner in this series, Bank of America, for making these events possible. Thank you to Bank of America. And now I'd like to welcome the Massachusetts President of Bank of America, Miceal Chamberlain, to the podium, who will introduce our speaker and our Mayor, Martin Walsh.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome, everyone. Great to kick off the season again, and we're thrilled to be this year's sponsor of the Government Affairs Forum again. And I am honored today to be able to introduce the Mayor of the City of Boston, Martin J. Walsh. Sworn in office in 2014, Mayor Walsh is a lifelong champion of working people and a proud product of Boston. Since taking office, he's been focused on leading Boston to the forefront of the global innovation economy, addressing the tremendous need for housing in Boston, engaging the next generation of leaders through his Imagine Boston 2030 program, and strengthening Boston's public schools. On that note, I hope many of you will join us for the Principal Partners event that we're going to be involved in on November 17th. I've had the opportunity to work with Mayor Walsh on several occasions since I assumed the market president duties here in Massachusetts for the bank, and it's clear that his dedication to the city, its residents, and to the neighborhoods is genuine, and it's from the heart. He has surrounded himself with an energetic and visionary team, bringing a fresh, inclusive, and collaborative perspective to issues and opportunities facing our city. As a major employer with several thousand people in the state and the local greater Boston area, we at Bank of America appreciate the mayor's commitment to making Boston a great place to live and work. We take great pride in the fact that some of the world's top employers have chosen Boston to build their operations, which is a credit to the mayor, Secretary John Barros, and all those who have worked so hard on this important achievement. Of course, having roots here dating back to more than 230 years, I like to think that Bank of America also we're early adopters in terms of bringing business to the city. In fact, tomorrow afternoon, we're having a community celebration in Roxbury to celebrate and commemorate our renovated Dudley Square Financial Center, just a few blocks from the original bank that it was established in 1784. Right in the heart of Dudley, our center has been redesigned to provide the latest technology to our customers and to the community. We've added new employees and deepened our already meaningful community relationships in Roxbury through enhanced support and financial education. It's an example of how Dudley, Roxbury, and Boston overall is being reinvigorated neighborhood by neighborhood. And it's thanks to Mayor Walsh and his team's commitment to a vision of thriving, a healthy and innovative Boston, where revolutionary history inspires creative solutions to the challenges of the 21st century. Please join me in welcoming someone who I truly admire and appreciate, Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, Miceal, and thank you for all that you've done as the President of Bank of America, Massachusetts. Certainly, you've been a great partner here in the city of Boston. I want to thank you and the entire bank for their service to our city. I also want to thank you, Jimmy, and the Chamber for asking me to come by today and speak. And thank you, too, for all the great work that you do. And I also want to make an introduction. I saw him sneak in here. Well, he can't really sneak in. He's the sheriff of Suffolk County. Sheriff Steve Tompkins is somewhere here. Thank you, Sheriff Tompkins, for being here with us today. And we also have Tim Burke, the chairman of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, and Ted Landsmark is here with us today. And Carol, thank you for the board of the BRA for your support in being here today. When I spoke to you a year ago, I called for the development of an Adopt a School program to create more partnerships between Boston's business community and the Boston Public Schools. If you were there, you'll remember some exceptional kids who stole the show last year. I want to thank the companies that have answered our call for new partners, including Delta Dental, General Electric, Goodwin Procter, Levi's, RSM, Salsify, Whole Foods, and Vertec. I am pleased to report that with the help of the Chamber and John Hancock, we are developing a program to enable many more companies to join in. It's called Invest BPS. Today, you can help launch the Invest BPS online portal that we created with the help of local entrepreneur Intrepid. It will make easy for companies to match their interests with the school's needs and will enable us to track and share some of the powerful results. There's a business card on your table. If you text the number, you'll receive a link to get started. So I ask you again, I welcome you all to join me in the long growing list of companies who are helping strengthen our schools and providing our students with one-of-a-kind learning experience. And I hope you all agree, and I know you do, that education should be everyone's business. So I ask all the companies here to get involved in Invest BPS. I'm going to talk about our city's economy, and I want to start by just noting a few of the opportunities that we have to showcase Boston to the world this fall. This is Hub Week, a festival celebrating creativity in art, science, technology that draws close to 50,000 attendees. Starting next Tuesday, Biotech Week will draw nearly 3,000 visitors. a mark of our global leadership in the life sciences. Mid-October brings us the Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit, a trend-setting event drawing nearly 5,000 entrepreneurs and influencers from around the world to our city. And in November, HubSpot will hold its popular Inbound Conference on business transformation in the Convention Center. That's another 10,000 visitors. With these innovators and investors coming here, they will experience a city that is flourishing. Since 2014, we have $12 billion worth of development that has entered our pipeline. Right now, we have $6 billion of construction underway. Long-neglected opportunities in downtown are finally moving forward. They include a new Millennium's Partner Tower in the Winter Square that promises mixed-income housing, exciting public spaces, and at last but no means least, a boost to our city's revenue. And for the first time, we've been able to see this spread through our investment through our neighborhoods. Major mixed-use projects are moving forward in Dorchester, Roxbury, South Boston, Alston, Charlestown, just to name a few neighborhoods. And after conducting our first comprehensive study of the business sector, we now know we have 40,000 small businesses operating across this city, generating $15 billion in annual revenue and creating 170,000 jobs. Citywide unemployment is below 4%, our lowest rate in 15 years. We are constantly ranked among the very best cities in the United States for entrepreneurs. Most recently, PitchBook confirmed that we're only second to the Bay Area for total number of successful venture capital investments, which twice as many startups moving to our next level as our nearest competitor, which happens to be New York City. Our leadership in the life sciences continues to grow, and we are rising to the top of key growth sectors like clean tech, cybersecurity, 3D printing, software, and advanced manufacturing. Early this year, we announced an agreement for General Electric to move their global headquarters to Boston. GE has now taken up residence in the South Boston waterfront, giving us a global anchor firm for the digital industry that draws in all these growth sectors and many, many more. We have the opportunity in Boston to launch the next generation of technology that will change the world. That holds the promise not just of global influence and investment, but of good jobs for a wide range of skill sets. In recent weeks, we've seen firms like Autodesk, Flextronics, and Continuum move to Boston and set up the kind of facilities that help bridge the gap between innovation and manufacturing in our economy. This kind of diversification is important because we need to be thinking about our resilience as well as our growth. If history is any guide, we need to be prepared for turbulence, and we need to build for long-term success. I'll touch on a few things we are doing to meet this imperative. We are building housing for our growing workforce. Our housing plan set for a goal of 53,000 units by the year 2030. As of this month, we have completed nearly 10,500 units. We have another 7,200 units under construction and more than 17,000 units in the pipeline. That puts us to about 40,000 units, or 74% of the way to our goal. We are well ahead of schedule. But this is no time to let up. The struggle of middle and lower income workers to find housing they can afford is not just a social problem, it's a business problem, and I hear it from a lot of you every day. It's why we are seeking to add Boston to the list of 160 cities and towns across the Commonwealth that make use of the Community Preservation Act. For a 1% surcharge, the CPA will lock tens of millions of dollars for housing every year while protecting open space and historic buildings. I want to personally thank the businesses that met with me to discuss the benefits of the CPA. And I urge all of our residents to vote yes on question 5 in November. It's good for business, and it's good for the quality of life in Boston. Our future also depends on the digital infrastructure. We need to make sure residents and businesses have the best possible access to the global flow of data. That's why Verizon, per our agreement, has begun installing fiber optic cables all across our city in an equitable way. We're adding new service options and moving Boston's connection speed into the 21st century. Finally, we are planning. We started 2 years ago with Boston's most ambitious housing plan ever. We followed with plans in transportation, in climate action, in arts and culture, in open space, and many, many more. We are now ready to take the next step. In the coming weeks, we will roll out key priorities in Imagine Boston 2030, our first citywide plan in over 50 years. Already, our planning is working in bringing in new community input and new investment to South Boston, Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, and Dorchester. To sum up, Boston has reached a position of economic leadership that it's unprecedented in our history. It hasn't been by accident. We've let go of the insular culture and the top-down leadership of the past. We've deepened our core strengths, and we've built carefully and confidently beyond them. In the language of our Imagine Boston project, what we love, we are preserving. Where we fell short, we are enhancing, and where there was stagnation, we are growing. We are looking to the future and opening our arms to the world, and the world is responding. As you can tell from this speech, I'm upbeat about our economy, and I'm committed about our long-term success. But that means we have more work to do. Economists have shown that inequality makes growth slower and less sustainable. Inequality also strikes at our identity as a city for opportunity for all. I could tell you about any number of strategies to reduce inequality. But today, I'm going to talk about one major aspect of challenge that we cannot reach with economic or educational policies alone. It's racial inequality. That low unemployment figure I mentioned earlier is between 2 and 3 times that number in neighborhoods of color like Roxbury and Mattapan. Similar disparities are evident in health, education, and almost every aspect of community and individual well-being. These disparities are rooted in history and continue presenting barriers of opportunity today. That means it's not enough to have colorblind policies, and it's not enough to have good intentions. Personal virtue doesn't add up to systemic change. I want to speak candidly about the challenges that this presents. I'll share some experiences. One night when I was running for mayor at a town hall meeting in Jamaica Plain, a woman of color asked me, "What are you going to do about racism in Boston?" The issue was not new to me. For 17 years, I represented one of the most diverse zip codes in the country, working closely with colleagues and constituents of color. As head of the building trades, I established a program that guaranteed jobs for women and people of color. I pledged to expand opportunities in communities of color and bring historic levels of diversity to leadership ranks in City Hall and the police department. I am proud to have followed through on those pledges. But that night in Jamaica Plain, my questioner wasn't satisfied, and neither was I. Her challenge and others like it had stayed with me. There are factors shaping life in Boston that, whatever my values and my intentions, I do not personally experience. As a good neighbor and as mayor, I must strive to understand them. So a big part of my approach to this issue has been listening to people of color in our communities and in my administration. I've been able to draw on these dialogues to better understand and respond at moments of national and local tensions. This experience has confirmed my beliefs that Boston is long overdue for a more intentional conversation about race. That's what we've been building towards in workshops convened by our Chief Resiliency Officer. In the past couple of months, we have asked people from different communities to help us take this conversation public. I've gotten a lot out of these talks, but they haven't always been easy. Some people of color wonder why they have to keep talking about this. They want to see more action. Some white people fear speaking up in case they say the wrong thing. Others feel the term of white privilege deny the struggles they've experienced. Meanwhile, people from across our city who lived through busing in the 70s harbor bitterness. A friend said recently, as a child, we coped with busing. We didn't process it. I would add, because we were unable to see our common interests, we didn't get to a lasting solution. We got a scar that hurts talent recruitment in our neighborhoods, investments for generations. and still troubles our efforts to reach educational equality. I believe we must forge a deeper understanding of each other's experiences. It's the only way we'll find common language for our shared challenge and move forward as a more united, more resilient community. This fall, we will begin a series of public conversations on race and equality. These events will build on a year of community workshops. They will launch us into a period of more open dialogue in our city. We will provide a toolkit for anyone who wants to hold conversations in their neighborhoods or their workplace. I've been told by some that this is dangerous territory for an elected official to enter, especially in their first term. I've been told by others that we already talk too much about race. Neither of these perspectives offers a good reason to ignore the issue. I feel deeply that it's my duty as mayor to address it. It's not just about talking. If we can deepen trust across communities, we can accelerate our progress forward. We can unlock more talent for our communities and our economy, and we can be stronger and more united in the face of whatever challenges come our way. We've been using this resiliency framework to build towards that exactly this kind of change. It's in our Office of Diversity we created to build pipelines to leadership in City Hall and beyond. And it's a public diversity dashboard that brought more transparency to this process than ever before. I also want to recognize the Chamber's leadership in this direction through their business community inclusion strategy. Thank you, Jimmy. It's in an Office of Workforce Development that we created that's helping thousands of people achieve a living wage and building good credit for the first time. I want to thank employers who have led the way with the living wage policies. Our hospitals, Boston Medical Center, Partners Healthcare, Tufts Medical Center, and food service innovators like Bon Me. It's in the Boston Public Schools. We have made equity a priority this year by bringing advanced work curriculum to 13 more schools and expanding access to free exam school preparation for hundreds of more students. You can see it in our national leadership in My Brother's Keeper movement to provide mentoring and opportunities for young men of color. And it's at the heart of our economic development policies. We are strengthening the Boston resident job policy and working to make our contracting and procurement practices more inclusive. This year, we budgeted for the city's first ever comprehensive disparity study to better understand the barriers to city contracts for minority-owned businesses. We will launch this study in partnership with other government agencies to amplify its impact. This is the policy framework that our conversation on race are designed to do and deepen and advance. But of course, lasting change must go beyond city policy. We need everyone to get involved, including our business community. So I extend a special invitation here at the Chamber for employers to join our citywide conversations, whether as a participant or a host. I ask you to take another look at your systems in your own organizations, in hiring and promotions, in contracting and procurement, in culture and community. I know there are businesses and nonprofit employers here leading the way. Let's share what's working and let's work together to do even better. It starts with listening. It ends with a stronger relationship and stronger organizations, a more resilient and more confident city. Our ultimate goal is a sustained and equitable shared prosperity. We won't achieve that goal without an inclusive process for managing public and private investments and without planning that can adapt to changing conditions and maintain deep community engagement. For 59 years, the Boston Redevelopment Authority has changed with these providing functions to our city. It's played a key role in many of the transformations that have brought us success. But the BRA has also been defined by moments of injustice in the 60s and lack of transparency in recent decades. Today, as much as ever, democratic planning and inclusive development are vital to our city's future. We must have an agency that works for people and that people trust. That's why, since the moment I took office, we've been reforming the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Under the directorship of Brian Golden, we have made great strides in transparency, efficiency, and culture. Earlier this year, we decided it was time to reflect and empower this ongoing reinvention of the agency with a new identity and a refocused mission. We listened to residents, we talked to employees, we engaged partners and experts, we looked at other cities. Our goal was to give Boston the best-in-class planning and development system it's always deserved. So I'm proud today to announce the results of the new vision and a new name for this vital agency. Here's a short video that sums it up.
Cities are living, breathing, and ever-changing. By their nature, if they're not growing, they're not thriving. Boston is experiencing tremendous growth in population and is poised to lead on a global scale. You've probably noticed a lot of new construction across the city, and maybe even right next door. Since 1957, the Boston Redevelopment Authority has worked alongside other agencies to make Boston the thriving place it is today. A new day calls for a new way of doing things, and as the city evolves, we've realized that our organization and what we stand for must evolve as well. To build trust and better serve our city, we will use our skills and tools to understand Boston as a complex system and focus on the future success of our city. We will make comprehensive city planning and responsible development priorities to create an inclusive Boston, a place where everyone has opportunities for success. Every decision we make will strive to help people best live, work, and connect. We will achieve this in 4 ways. We will engage communities through new tools to encourage more people to participate. We will implement new approaches to solve city challenges. We will create partnerships across the city to maximize the outcomes of everything we do. And we will measure our impact to learn from our work and continuously improve our ability to serve the city. We love Boston, its people, and the character of its neighborhoods, and we believe our future is bright. We are dedicated to working differently, and as we evolve into our new role, we are now proud to be called the Boston Planning and Development Agency, shaping the future of Boston together.
The Boston Planning and Development Agency, soon to be known as the BPDA, I know it's going to take some getting used to, especially for me, but I expect it will be a welcome change. This agency will look to the community first and will bring solutions all across our city wherever they are needed. It will ensure that every resident in every neighborhood can benefit from Boston's success. Right off the bat, planning and development review teams will visit the neighborhoods together to talk about what the new process will look like. I can announce today that it will include a redesigned community meeting format to provide more context and more clarity, and an online platform for neighborhood-specific updates and feedback. We're going to make sure conversations are open, ongoing, and available to all. We'll also set up a BPDA Plus, a program to forge collaborations with nonprofits, businesses, universities, and startups, and host innovative fellowships for leading-edge global experts. The Boston Planning and Development Agency will be modern, state-of-the-art. It will understand what cities of today and tomorrow need, and it will be inclusive about shaping the development towards those ends. With a combination of global leadership and community passion we have in our city, we deserve nothing less than we are fully capable of achieving this. I'm excited about the new possibilities that we can unlock together. I want to leave you with one last point that's of paramount importance to Boston's future. I don't like to get political in these forums, and I'm not going to talk about the debate last night. But the stakes for us in Washington this year are high. Boston's economy is thriving because we have become a hub in the global network of ideas, investments, and of people. Those conferences I mentioned this fall are good examples. Another is Babson College's Global Entrepreneur in Residence program we helped launch earlier this year. It allows talented international students to stay in our city, in our country to build businesses. To maintain and grow this global role, we need an immigration system that works. We need transportation infrastructure that's up to date. And we need to be part of a country that invests in education, in research, and in housing. And for all these things, we need a federal partner that's as committed as we are to sustainable growth and global leadership. These issues are with bipartisan support. Yet too often, we've seen Congress retreating from them instead of moving forward. We've seen creep into the national conversation a desire to retreat from the world and take a defensive and fearful stance. Right now, an isolated, divided America that's unable or unwilling to invest in the future will be the greatest short-term threat to Boston's economy. So I urge all of you and every American to undertake your civic duty with the highest seriousness as we head into this election season. In Boston, we have helped set the pace of the recovery, and we have maximized the benefits of this growth. Let's keep our success going. Let's embrace the future and the world together as one city and as one country. I want to thank you all, and may God bless the United States of America.
Well, thank you, Mayor Walsh, for both a bold and a substantive address this morning. As you can see, it was very well received by the audience. I want to kick off the questions by focusing just a minute on education, something that you raised last year and you raised again this year. During your first campaign and early in your administration, you embraced the responsibility for the education of all children in Boston. You and I both testified in favor of lifting the charter cap during some legislative testimony. Now, question 2, which would raise that cap, is on the ballot. You've come out against it. Can you just explain that whole issue?
Thank you, Jimmy. I am a founding board member of Neighborhood House Charter School, very proud of it. Laurie's daughter is a graduate of Boston Collegiate Charter School, proud of that. I testified with the chamber at the State House, and the governor actually, earlier this year to lift the cap, and included in that bill was a funding fix for charter schools to be reimbursed cities and towns, particularly Boston, and about 9 or 10 other cities and towns fully fund Boston. That bill did not pass the legislature. I find that this bill that is on the ballot now, question 2, if passed, is extremely detrimental to the city's budget, will add extreme costs to the city's budget. It'll lift the cap for 12 schools per year at the discretion of the Secretary of Education, working with the governor's office. And I feel that right now we don't have a system that fully funds, reimburses the city. The city of Boston this year had to make up a shortfall of $19 million for not getting fully funded for charter school reimbursement. Next year, that projection is $25 million. We can't continue to grow our budget without a fully fix here and a funding mechanism fix. I would love to see the cap raised. I would love to see a funding fix. It shouldn't be done by ballot initiative. It should be done by the legislature. So I support the legislature lifting the cap so it can be a responsible lift, and I don't support question 2.
Thank you. One more education question from me in the interest of full disclosure. It comes from a Boston Latin School graduate. Latin School's been in the news, is in the news again this morning. U.S. Attorney released her findings, and an agreement was reached with the school department on the issues of racial intolerance at the school. And we also saw a decline, I guess, a reduction in the rating of the school to a level 2, which is hard for those of us that went to the school to even imagine Boston Latin School as anything less than a level 1 school. Can you talk about going forward with Latin School?
Yes, yesterday the United States Attorney came down with their ruling on some of the findings they found in Latin School. As you all read the newspaper last year, there were some incidents in the school that had gone unreported. They might have been reported to the school department. They were not reported to me. The U.S. Attorney's Office was asked by an outside entity to get involved. Yesterday, they came back with some findings. Some incidents have happened in the school. Prior to that, we were able to put Mike Contampasas in as the interim headmaster along with Jerry Howland. So we put in place at the end of last year a lot of policy to fix some of the injustices that were going on at Latin School. But the issue of Latin School is not just of Latin School, it's across the board. And Superintendent Chang and Mike O'Neill, the chairman of the Boston School Committees here, we've taken some steps last year, to make sure that any type of racial injustice or bullying or whatever young people have to deal with across the board, we have a better system in place to deal with that. And I think that yesterday's ruling allows us the opportunity, I wouldn't say to close a chapter on a bad year. I would say it's an opportunity for us to learn from that and take that experience and move forward. When it comes to downgrading of Latin School and the Roger Clapp School, which was a level 4 school in Boston, that's now level 1, very mixed messages from DESE, to be quite honest with you, from the state. The state sent a letter to the district earlier this year. In Boston, in 8th grade, we went to the Park Assessment Test. It's a pilot program, so we're moving away from MCAS, going to the Park Assessment Test. In the letter by the commissioner to the school district states that asking the school district not to penalize any students or parents if they opt out of taking the Park test. So in Boston Latin, we had about a total of 45 kids opt out of the test, and at the Roger Clapp School, we had 2 kids opt out of the test. In Boston Latin, we were 13 kids short of having the percentile 95% that's needed to make sure that we don't move our levels from 1 to 2 or however the levels move. In the Roger Clapp, we were 2 kids. So I had a conversation yesterday with the secretary to talk about this, how unfair it was. Even though he agreed with me that this is unfair, he said we still are going to move our school down. So for all intents and purposes, according to DESE, Boston Latin is rated number 2, and the Roger Clapp in Dorchester is rated number 2. According to DESE, according to me in the city of Boston, Boston Latin is still rated number 1, and the Roger Clapp is still rated number 1 in our city.
Well, I feel like I speak for more than close to 400 years of alumni that shares your belief that Boston Latin is number 1, and we want it to continue to be number 1. Our kids deserve nothing less. Questions from the audience? Yeah, sure.
I just want to, yesterday when the results came out, for the first time in history, we have 47 schools, 43 schools in level 1 or level 2 status. It's the highest since we've been doing this level in the city of Boston.
Audience, over here. We have a microphone coming. It's a big room, so please wait for the microphone when you ask a question. And please identify yourself, if you would.
Sure. My name is Kathy McGrath, and I work at Liberty Mutual. And I'm interested in knowing about your initiative to end chronic homelessness and how that's going along.
Thank you for that. In 2015, we took on the challenge by the First Lady of the United States of America, Michelle Obama, to end chronic veterans homelessness by the end of 2015. Happy to report that at the end of 2015, we have ended chronic veterans homelessness in the city of Boston. We housed over 500 chronically homeless vets. We have a system in place now. That doesn't mean that all of our homeless vets are off the street. Some of our homeless vets refuse to come off the street and they're not ready yet, but we have a system in place to be able to get them into housing when they're ready. We've been working with partners like Pine Street Inn, Lydia Downey's here, and happy to report on the homeless front, I believe we've housed 102 chronically homeless folks in the city of Boston. So we're well on our way to ending chronic homelessness in the city of Boston. That doesn't mean that our challenge hasn't ended. We have to work at this every single day. There's a part of our city that people have labeled Methadone Mile, which is very unfair. It's more like Recovery Road, where we're working to make sure that we're out, we've put intensive training and people out in the street, working with our partners like Pine Street and some of the other providers in our city. We'll focus on the Boston Common now, really working with folks, trying to get them off the street. This isn't a simple solution. Many of our homeless folks have challenges, mental illness, addiction problems, PTSD, and a whole host of other issues. So we are working literally one person at a time. So we're going to continue to move to get all of our homeless folks into housing. What's ironic is we're still hearing stories of closing Long Island Bridge 2 years ago, when in fact that the services that are in place today are 10 times better than what we had in Long Island, because in Long Island, when folks were there, we hid them on Long Island, we didn't see the problem. Now that we have a state-of-the-art shelter in Southampton Street, we're actually able to focus on the issue of homelessness and really target it. And we're not gonna stop there. We're gonna continue to work to reduce and eliminate homelessness in the city of Boston.
Question in the back.
Thank you. David B. Gelfer with NAOP. I just want to bring back to the discussion about the PD, okay, whatever that is that the BRA is now. With the new growth zones that you have established and that you're looking to, how is this new structure going to work with the neighborhoods and to encourage the higher density that you've been looking for?
Well, actually, I think the growth zones were part of the reason why we're reinventing the public process, the public meeting process. The growth zones, real quickly explanation, the growth zones, we have 4 in the city of Boston. The areas of the city of Boston that we're looking at planning out for future development and looking at zoning in those neighborhoods. So we don't have a project associated with those. We're looking at where can we get density and height in certain neighborhoods, where can we encourage businesses, whether it's manufacturing, retail, however it might be. So part of what came out of the growth zones was actually the reinvention of the community process, and I think we're going to continue to move forward. And I think when we get an opportunity to get out into the communities and talk to the business community about how we're going to engage in the community, I think people are going to feel a lot more comfortable dealing with what we're doing at the BRA. It seems today, in some cases, some neighborhoods of the city, when some of you developers go into a neighborhood, people are already no, and we have to get them to yes. Where we have to get communities is, let's hear the proposal, and let's get to a point where we're comfortable with the proposal. We can't always start at no. The process is too encompassing, and it causes too many problems.
Other questions? No. Oh, now.
Nav Singh. Mayor, over the last 3 years, we have come a long way, like 3.9% unemployment, everybody like coming here. So I would say congratulations to all of you for an amazing job. And I also compliment you for putting the race conversation in the forefront right now. I think it's like timely. And most of us are eager to help. So beyond hosting these events, if there are 1 or 2 specific things we should be doing, I think it'd be good to have a conversation like quickly. Because if we can pick on one thing we all can do, I would love for us to go as fast as we can on that front.
Thank you. Thank you, Nav. You know, we had a long debate as we were putting this speech together if we should tackle race in this conversation. This is the business community of Boston, and we had discussions in the office about, was this the right time, is this the right thing? And when you think about where we are as a city, and we hear it all the time, Commissioner Evans and his police department have done an incredible job. When we see the tension around the country and what's happening around the country, it's not just about violence in the street. It's also about lack of opportunity. It's about really making sure, as a community, if we want to move forward, we have to open doors. When we started to look at My Brother's Keeper, and Felix Arroyo's here, Felix and John were the original co-chairs of My Brother's Keeper movement, along with the call from President Obama. When you look at the studies, black and brown boys, they're underperformed in education. They're more apt to be out there committing the crimes. We have to change that dialogue. This isn't about pointing fingers. This is about a city looking in the mirror saying, how can we be better as a city? If we're doing it with police and we're doing it in our schools, we certainly have to look to our business community, because anytime that I've come to any of you, and I can speak for the mayors prior to me, whether it's been Mayor Menino or Mayor Flynn, he's coming to the business community, you've always answered that call, and I want to thank you for that. And I think on the race conversation and the race dialogue, creating opportunities and opening doors is something that's vitally important for us to continue the success we've had as a city. If you look around America, most cities in America want to be Boston. And that's the big ones as well. They want to be Boston for what's happening in our city. We have incredible economic development growth. We're building more housing than any other city in America. our educational system, as I said earlier, that's a big deal, having 43 schools in level 1 and level 2 and 47 schools in level 3, which means that those 47 schools are within inches of raising up the level to level 2 schools. Not many places in urban America have what we have in our city. This isn't about me. It's not about our administration. It's all of us. So I want to thank you, Nav, for that, and I also want to thank the business community for always being there. And this conversation around race isn't something that we should just be watching on TV. We should be jumping into it here in our city.
I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, if there's any out there. Oh, Dal.
Good morning, Daryl Settles. Morning, Mr. Mayor. I just want to congratulate you on the speech. I also want to second that the fact that you're talking about race and income inequality, and it was a third of your speech. I've been here for 32 years, and this is the first speech that's been given to the business community talking about where we need to go. So I'm proud this morning.
Thank you, Darryl.
I'm proud this morning. If you look around this room, there are very few people of color that are here. And the business community needs to be stronger, and it needs to be inclusive. And so now that we're hearing it, we're talking about it, we know that it needs to be done, and we all need to be engaged. It only makes us the #1 city in America for a long time coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Darryl.
Well, I think that's a fabulous note to end this morning's session on. Mayor, congratulations on what I think was a home run, and go Red Sox. Have a great day.